Hey guys, we're on Unit 8 and this is day 1. We'll do the warm-up. It says factor and solve the following. So we did these way back in the beginning of the year, and this is the one where we use a substitution. So up here, I'm going to go ahead and write let W equal 2x squared plus 3x. So that's the expression in those parentheses. So when I take this and I replace it with a W, this becomes W squared. I'm going to go ahead and replace this also with W, so that's going to be minus W and then minus 2. And by doing that, that turns into a nice easy trinomial. So we'll set up our X box. Our multiply is the last number, which is negative 2. Our add is the middle number, which is a negative 1. That shouldn't take us too long because there's only two numbers that multiply to 2, so we'll say 2 and 1. And to get a negative 1 out of them when we add them together, the 2 is going to have to be negative. So these are the numbers that will multiply to negative 2, and at the same time, they'll add to negative 1. So now we can go back to our easy trinomial. And the factors would be a W minus 2 and a W plus 1. Okay. And I did forget, because this is equal to g of x, we should put equal to 0 so that we can solve it. So we'll put equal to 0. All right, so now we have to go back and change our w's back to what they used to be. So now our w's are going to go back to 2x squared plus 3x. All right, so this w comes out. 2x squared plus 3x goes back in for it, but now there's a minus 2. Close it up, open it up. That w also goes back to being a 2x squared plus 3x, but now there's a plus 1. Close it up and then equals 0. All right, so now we have these two trinomials to go ahead and factor. Bad news is that they're both harder trinomials. So we'll go ahead and set up our first X box for the first one. Okay. Our multiply is going to actually be negative 4 because of that 2 out in front and the negative 2 in the back. We multiply them together to get the negative 4. And our add is the middle number, which is 3. Good news. Shouldn't take too long to find our numbers. We're going to go with 4 and 1, but we're going to make the 1 negative so that our numbers here will multiply to negative 4, and they'll also add to 3. With hard trinomials, we got a few steps in there before we can go and get our factors. So our first step is to rewrite. So we'll take our 2x squared term, and we'll keep that the same. I'm going to put the plus 4x next that we just found in the x box, then the minus 1x, then the minus 2. And we're going to group here, and we'll group here. And then I'm going to take this up here. Out of that first group, I can pull out a 2x. Left over would be an x plus 2. Out of the second group, I have to pull out a negative 1. Left over would be an x and I pulled out the negative, so that would be a plus 2. So we have x plus 2 as our first factor. Okay, and then 2x minus 1 as our second factor. So this one's finished. So now I have to do the next one. So we'll set up another x box off to the side here. If we have any room, our multiply here is going to be the 2 times the 1, which is 2. And then our add will be that 3 in the middle. Again, doesn't take too long to find the numbers. It's got to be 2 and 1. And this time they're both going to be positive because that'll multiply to 2 and it'll add to 3. So now I'm going to go ahead and take that 2x squared term, rewrite it. I'm going to take the plus 2x from my x box that I just found, then the plus 1x, and then the plus 1. Again, we're going to go ahead and group and group. And out of the first group, and again, we'll come back up here. Okay. We'll go ahead and pull out a 2x. If we have some room, maybe I'll come up here. Left over will be an x plus 1. Out of the second group, I'm going to pull out a positive 1. Left over will be x plus 1. And so x plus 1 becomes one of our factors. I'm going to just get rid of this bar here so that I can write my factors next to my original 2 here. So that x plus 1 becomes my third factor. Guys on the outside, which is 2x, and a plus 1 becomes my last factor. And now I have all 4 factors. Okay. However, they did also ask me to solve. So what I had to remember is that I had equal 0 over here. And so now I'm going to go ahead and solve each one. Okay, so when this factor of x plus 2 equals 0, x is going to come out to equal negative 2. When this factor of 2x minus 1 equals 0, we'll add 1 and divide by 2. And because we're adding 1, 1 will be positive, and then dividing by 2, we get 1/2. Our third factor, if we set x plus 1 equal to 0, we would get x equals negative 1. And over here, if we set our last factor equal to 0, we would have to subtract 1 this time. So 1 would be negative, and then divide by 2. And there are our 4 solutions. Okay, so there's our factors. In the parentheses, our solutions are the x equals. All right, I'll see you guys on day 1 notes.